Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Andrew Yang and a place of honor. All right. So first I want to share an experience that happened to me yesterday, and it really got me thinking about politics and about the role of the U.S. presidency and what it's going to mean when we are putting Andrew Yang into that role of the U.S. presidency. All right, so yesterday, so I have previously talked on my channel about my mentor. I've had a mentor for 12 years. And basically, I worked in about 12 years ago at an information technology job that I had. I applied for a job as a project manager internally with this company. I'm not with this company any longer. This is like 2-3 companies back. But I applied for a job as a project manager, and I do test engineering, software test, and so basically at the time I did software test, and so basically I came in and I applied for this job as a project manager, and I gave them my spin of like, I'm not a project manager, I don't have PM Bach or any of that, but I'm going to do great at this because I know the company and I'm really a go-getter and I'm going to learn on the fly. Hire me as this project manager, right? Like, now the only reason I gotta say that's dopey because they brought in this person, right? They brought in this Asian person, and they hired this Asian person externally, right, for this job, for this project manager job. And I then learned what a project manager does. So this person they hired in from externally became the project manager for our company. And like it was clear after I watched this person for about 6 months that I had no idea what project management was, and that it was a body of knowledge that was incredibly deep. And that this person was executing in a league I wasn't even aware existed, right? Now this person then became my mentor, okay? About 2-3 years after, me applying for that job, both of us were let go by the company when they got rid of the entire branch, right? Now it was a bump in the road for us because we're both like the kind of IT workers who, keep the saw sharp, and we had skill sets that we could bring anywhere, and I still do to this day. I'm like, hey, you need to make sure that your skill set is strong and you're valuable to any company, right? And so it was a bump in the road for both of us. But after we left that company, me and this Asian person who had been this project manager who got the job that I wanted, right? We had become friends when we would work there, and the reason we became friends was we were both evangelical Christians, right? And so we bonded over that. But then we just really liked each other as friends, right? And so when we left that company, we were no longer within proximity of each other. We couldn't spend time together every day around, at the coffee, getting coffee, right? So basically, we started getting together as friends about every 2-3 months. And for about 9 years now, right, he has served, basically, and this is kind of crazy, but he stopped being my friend at that point. And we would get together every 2 or 3 months at a Starbucks, and we would sit together for an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. And I would tell him all my travails, all my professional travails, and say, I don't know if I should do this, if I should do that. And he would give me professional advice, right? And we really weren't really talking or functioning as friends anymore. This Asian person became my mentor. And for 9 years, this person has invested every 2 or 3 months, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, their wisdom, their experience, their kindness into me, right? And because of that, I have become a better Christian, a better husband, and here's the big part, right? The profession part. That goes into the husband, right? The reason I work is because I want to supply for my family, right? And so profession is simply a subset of my duties as husband to me, right? And this Asian person really helped me. My mentor really helped me incredibly a lot by helping me to be a much better professional than I was, by giving me all of this information that was truly incredibly valuable to me, and it was really important, right? And so it was a wonderful thing, and I'm very thankful for that time that my mentor has invested in me, right? All right, so yesterday, after many years, my mentor was ordained as a pastor, right? So a few years back, about 5-6 years back, my mentor gave up his position in IT and then transitioned into a new career of being pastor. And that journey began about 6 years ago. And yesterday, he was ordained, right, into a Chinese Philadelphia church. This church has 3 different services. They have services in English, in Mandarin, and in Cantonese, right? And it's truly incredible, right? And the English services, it's wild because the English services are primarily, the most people that go to the English services are the children of the people who spoke Mandarin and Cantonese who now speak English very, very well, right? And it's an incredible place. This place is on fire for Jesus Christ. They are an incredibly robust and powerful and really joyful and celebratory church for evangelical Christian church, right? But they're also a Chinese church, right? So, and my mentor became their pastor, right? And yesterday, and so there was this ordination, right? Now, you're thinking I'm going to talk about a place of honor for my friend. That's not the case. I'm going to talk about a place of honor for me, right? And for my wife yesterday, because I don't often get in. So yesterday, I was put into a place of honor at the ordination, right? So me and my wife drive in from the suburbs, of Philadelphia into Philadelphia. We pay a ton of money to park our car, and we walk over to the Chinese church, and we walk into the church, and there are greeters, right? And I say, hey, I am friends with my mentor, and we've been friends for, a decade. And I, introduce myself to the greeter. The greeter goes, oh, I know exactly who you are, right this way, right? And so we're brought in to this Chinese church. We're swept up in front of literally hundreds of people and placed in a place of honor. We're placed in the row directly behind my friend. My friend turns to me and actually breaks conversation with 4 or 5 other people, says hello, greets me and my wife. We exchange some niceties, and his wife is there, and it was really nice. And I was like, holy crap, we're sitting right behind the person who's being ordained today, right? And I looked behind and there are all these people. Now, about 5 minutes before the ordination ceremony begins, members of my friend's family who had flown in from Boston are brought up, right? And they have to be put rows and rows back behind us because I had been put into a place of honor, and I was like, oh my gosh, where I'm sitting probably should have went to them, right? But I had been put into a place of honor, right? And I felt honored, right? And if it seems like, oh, well, you're just sitting in a particular place, Scott, what's the big deal? I'm going to tell you what the big deal is, all right? So one, I recognize when a place of honor has been extended, right? And it was a big deal because when the ceremony started, right, they sang, I'm just going to sing it because I don't know the name of the song, but to God be the glory, great things he has done, and to blah, 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 right? So it's this hymn, right? Me and my wife have sung this hymn 50 times, right? Over the 28 years we've been married, and in a half a dozen churches we've been in since we've been married, right? And when we were singing this song, just tears were streaming down my wife's face because she had never heard this song sung in English and in Cantonese. And I could see her looking at this Cantonese choir who was singing this song over on the, in front of us. But to the right, it was so wonderful and so funny and special. There were all these slouching youths who all spoke English, right? Who were the children of Mandarin and Cantonese speakers, and they were all singing in English, right? And they were all wearing hoodies and kicking their, not wanting to be there, already bored 10 minutes into the ceremony. But it was really nice to realize that Chinese churches have slouching teenagers just the way my church does, right? But it was beautiful. It was beautiful to hear this Christian hymn, this evangelical Christian hymn that, we had heard 50 times, and it brought tears to my wife's eyes, right? And then the ceremony continues, and they bring up, I'm not kidding, you think this number is a joke, they bring up 10 pastors. People had flown in from all over the United States, from large Chinese churches, right, to exalt my mentor, right, the person I get together with every 2-3 months, who gives me an hour to 2 to 3 hours of their time. And my wife was like, holy crap, this is what you've been doing for 9 years, listening to this guy? You know, and she would think, oh yeah, you know, we spent $6 for your coffee, what's the big deal? But she realized this person, you know, I've been listening to one of the best professionals in the country, and certainly within Philadelphia, right? And this person was giving me my time because they're so giving and their life is filled with so much benevolence, right? And, you know, and my wife looked at, during the ceremony, my wife looked over at me, right? She looked up at me, right? And my wife always looks up at me because I'm 2 inches taller than her, right? But I could tell she wasn't looking up at me because I was 2 inches taller. She was looking up at me because I'd had the wisdom to shut my mouth for once, right? And just listen to somebody who clearly knew more than me, right? And to take a mentor when a mentor was available, right? To recognize somebody who was going to serve as my mentor and has served as my mentor. And my wife was like, just your association with this person and the place of honor that this community has bestowed on me, on you, makes me think more of you, right? And it was wonderful. It was wonderful being put into a place of honor yesterday, right? And I'm thankful to my mentor. My mentor does not stop giving to me. He's such an incredible, benevolent, noble person, right? And it was really special, right? And I just want to say to you out there, I think you out there, I think the vast majority of you are just like me. You're just struggling every day to be a noble person. And for the people who are in your proximity, your family and your friends, you're trying to give them more. Give them more of yourself. Give them more actual provision. Give them more, right? You're doing just as I am. And I hope that someday soon you are put in a place of honor. Because I'll tell you right now, I work hard and I'm rarely put into a place of honor. Yesterday was really nice. And I really think that each and every one of you, the vast majority of you, deserve to be put into a place of honor every now and then. And it's nice when it happens, all right? So let's put that into place. We're going to stick this here, place of honor, right? Now let's talk about Andrew Yang, all right? Now what are we about to do, right? Every single one of us listening to this channel, right, or the vast majority of you, we want, the vast majority, I shouldn't say every single one. I know there's some birdie bros who listen to this channel, right? They jump into the comments, and I love it. Thank you very much for everyone who listens, right? Even the birdie bros. There's also some serious Tulsi fans. So anyway, so we're about to place Andrew Yang into a place of honor. What is that place of honor? It's the U.S. presidency, right? And you're like, wait, what? The U.S. presidency is a place of honor? Yes, it's super easy to forget that the U.S. presidency is a place of honor when we have the current attendee, like the current person who's holding that place, right? Yes, it doesn't really look like a place of honor right now, but I can assure you that the U.S. presidency is a place of honor. You know how I know? Because for 2 years, I took my oldest daughter, and we went through every single corner of the Philadelphia Art Museum. And you know what they have in the Philadelphia Art Museum? They have the plates, the forks, the knives, and the spoons that multiple U.S. presidents have eaten off of, right? They're framed like they're pieces of art, and they are pieces of art, and they're worth a fortune, right? And so, like, the U.S. presidency is such a place of honor that literally the implements they use to put soup in their mouths are like held up as fine art, right? It is a place of honor. And we are saying, hey, Andrew Yang deserves this place of honor, right? So let's talk about that. Why does Andrew Yang deserve this place of honor over every other candidate? Now, I'm going to lay it out. Let's do it, all right? So one, he deserves the place of honor over every single scrub who couldn't make the third debate, right? You could forget them. Non-performers, they're out, right? He outperformed all of them, so he's above all of them. All right, there you go, okay? Now we got 9 other candidates to deal with, okay? Why does Andrew Yang deserve more to, why should we put Andrew Yang into a place of honor above the other 9 candidates? So I'm going to take them in groups, all right? So first and foremost, I hate to say this because it's always painful every time I talk about it, but it's got to be talked about. We got to talk about the AWM. So that's Eric Swalwell's. So Eric Swalwell, he's already gone, but he came in and he was asked by some people, why are you in this campaign? And he said, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm another white man, right? And so he self-identified as another white man. Well, he was right. He was another white man, and it's a big question for the Dems who have dedicated themselves to helping intersectionality people, right? And so basically, I'll say right now, I think Yang should definitely be over Biden, Sanders, and Warren for my vote, I'm going to elevate him over Biden, Warren, and Sanders. And the reason why is I absolutely will say we're going to do it again, right? We put 43 another white men into the presidency since 1776. In 243 years, we put 43 AWMs into the presidency, into the place of honor. And I will be darned if I'm going to put a 44th in there, right? When we haven't gone through the other people that should be placed in honor. Now, I did take the time to vote for Obama, and I put an African American into a place of honor. Right, but what about the rest? What about women? What about LGBTQ? What about Native Americans? What about and frankly, what about Asian Americans? Right, like it's time, right? So frankly, in my opinion, you could forget O'Rourke. You could forget. I'm sorry, I might have got these names wrong earlier. You can forget Biden, Sanders, and O'Rourke. Those are the AWMs, right? And you can forget them, right? Because in my opinion, if you're a Dem, you understand this problem. We can't put a 44th AWM in. It's like, are the Dems actually dedicated to intersectionality? If the answer is yes, then we really need to forget those three, right? Now, I absolutely believe they have every right to run, right? And I don't besmirch anybody who decides to vote for them. But for me, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not, right? All right, so there's too many other people in line, right? So that's my take on that. All right, so let's talk. Now, that leaves 6 other candidates who are in intersectionality, right? And I just mentioned all the groupings of intersectionality they're in, okay? Klobuchar, Harris, Warren, right? Castro, Booker, Buttigieg. They are all intersectionality candidates, right? Why on earth should anybody put Yang over them? There's a good reason. I'm going to give it to you right now. There's actually 2 reasons. I'm going to give it to you right now. All right, so one, here's why, okay? Yesterday, I was elevated to a place of honor, right? Now we're talking about elevating another person to a place of honor, right? Well, guess what, right? Every single one of those 6 candidates, Harris, Warren, Klobuchar, okay, Booker, Buttigieg, and Castro, they've already been elevated to a place of honor. They're already politicians, right? They've already been elevated to a place of honor. So they are saying, hey, I've already been elevated. Take me from my elevated position and elevate me again, right? Now, guess what? Yang is not. He is not being elevated from an elevated position. He is being elevated from among us, the people. He has distinguished himself in 3 spheres of civics. He has distinguished himself in education. He has distinguished himself in labor. He has distinguished himself in benevolence, right? Double Ivy League, Manhattan Prep, and Venture for America. All right? Okay? He is being elevated from the people, from down below, from amongst us. He's one of us, right? He's not some schmuck who's already been elevated and did nothing. And that's what Harris and Warren and Klobuchar and Castro and Booker and Buttigieg, that's what they are, right? Now, why am I saying they did nothing, right? Well, you're right. They did some things, which to me are quite forgettable. I've been listening to these people for like 6 to 10 months each, right? And I can't tell you a single worthy thing that any of them have done, right? Like anything of significance, right? Like, yeah, they passed a couple laws, whatever, blah, 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 right? But the reality is they're literally in the system, right? And saying the system is terrible. They're all saying politics is terrible. America's in a bad situation. Guess what? I was recently elevated into this position. I've done nothing with it, and I'd like to do more nothing with it. Right? Like you've already been elevated, right? And you did nothing with it. They all did nothing with it, right? So that is why they're all intersectionality candidates. From a perspective of intersectionality, Yang is no more worthy than any of the rest of them. But from the perspective of what did you do with the elevation you already received, right? And they did nothing. They did nothing at the macro level. They certainly had exceptions, blah, 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 right? But at the macro level, they did nothing, right? And in addition to that, let's talk about the swamp, right? they're all standing in the swamp. They only did, all 6 of those candidates are standing in the swamp, right? They're either knee deep, right? That's Buttigieg because he's not really a Washingtonian, he's just a mayor, right? But then the senators, they're waist deep in the swamp, right? And then some of them are neck deep in the swamp, just like neck deep in the swamp, right? Warren, right? And they're all shouting from the swamp that they're going to change the swamp, right? At least Yang is not in the swamp, right? He's standing on dry ground, right? Like he's walking in from the sun-dappled, fields of entrepreneurialism, which is not a swamp, right? To me, that's clear. It's a good reason why Yang should be elevated, right? Because he hasn't already been elevated, right? And it's good. He's going to be placed into a place of honor from among us, not being elevated from an elevated position, right? Also, one other minor thing. Now, everything I just said, that's a fact, right? It's a fact that these are all politicians asking for a higher politician job, right? Which, in my opinion, is literally the reason we should not choose them, right? There's also a point in time and opportunity with Yang. Yang truly is, now this is my opinion, right? What I just said is a fact, really. Yang is the only person out of those 6 who should be considered, who have an actual reason to be considered, right? He's the only one who comes from among us, from the people. He's the only one who has any excuse to say that he's not part of the problem. All 6 of the rest of them had time. They had elevation, and they did nothing to change the situation. They're literally complaining about the elevated ground they're on, which I know it's a swamp, blah, blah, blah. Right? Yeah, so, it's bad. It's a bad situation. They're all politicians. They all did nothing with their elevation at the macro level. They did a couple exception things, whatever. And the reality is when they're telling you they're going to do more, they've already done very little with what they've already been given. Right? Whereas Yang, that's not the case. He's done a lot with very little, right? That's the issue. All 6 of those candidates did little with the lot they've been given. And Yang has been given very little and has done a lot with it. That's why he's a better candidate than all 6 of them. Also, this is my opinion here, he's a point-in-time candidate, right? So he has a really unique blend of genius, charisma, and kindness that is incredibly unique. And his platform, right? At the macro level, what is his platform? UBI, it's a genius idea. It's a system level change rather than turning the dials on. It's a platform level change rather than turning the dials on the existing system, which is what every single one of the rest of the people want to do. And then also, Down with Robots. Down with Robots is genius, right? And the combination of UBI and Down with Robots, it's awesome. By the way, I know a lot of you are like, it's not Down with Robots. It's this nuanced opinion that I can explain in 3 paragraphs. Down with Robots. It's simpler, makes more sense, right? So, I love Andrew Yang. He's incredible, right? He's the best there is, and I really think he's gonna take it all the way, right? I really feel like he is going to take us all the way. So with that, I just kind of want to wrap it up and say thank you very much for letting me share these ideas with you today. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.